with the ability to expand in our capacity.
Hey, so let's see. Good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order of the Virginia Indian Advisory Board. Today's February 19th, 2026. And it's about 1:08 p.m. So the first order, and should I do this here for a few minutes? I think we need to. Yeah. So the first order of business we do, Dennis, I see you there. We do need to hear you state your reason for your virtual attendance, and we do need to approve that since you are a member of the board, if you're prepared for that. I can't hear you.
Muted.
One second, we're having some audio. I guess he can hear us, but let's see.
Oh, you can't hear us.
He can, so it must be our audio. One moment, we're having some audio issues.
We're getting audio. He's talking, he can hear us, but we can't hear him. So I didn't know if there was something on that.
You don't have to unmute him, do you, Karen?
He muted on his end?
No. Oh, here we go. We got it now. Yeah.
It went away.
Evidently he can hear us, but we can't hear him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else. Other computer, we'll go into computer number 3. That works. Okay.
Just give us one second. We still can't hear any audio. Apologize for that. Two on mine. Can't help myself. Put it in chat. Is that significant for us? Is that good enough for us to move forward?
Yeah, if he types in the chat.
You see the chat there? Okay. So work over on, you have to disconnect.
Good. We can try a few other things before we do that.
You can take this, well, what do you think? You want to just try to get the audio working? Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Switch it.
It's best just to, just so we
No
can.
one else. We can't hear anyone.
I don't think anyone else tried to come off mute. Anyone else on the call can come off mute maybe and try to say a word for us just to see.
Hi, this is Reggie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Reggie.
Reggie.
Yeah.
And this is Carrie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think Dennis, it may be your audio, so you'll have to chat. Okay. Okay, thank
And
you.
I think he gave his reason in the chat.
He did.
Yes.
And I've recorded.
Okay, thank you. We're good. Apologize for that. We'll keep moving. I'm going to read the message. So Dennis Clark, my virtual attendance today is because I have on-site obligations that don't allow for travel away from the office. My apologies. And apologize for not being in person one of those days. So everyone heard the reason for virtual attendance for Dennis today. Can I get a motion to approve Dennis's virtual attendance?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve in a second, and I'll let, Carrie, you're taking notes, I'll let you, catch up. So the motion on the table is to approve virtual attendance today for Dennis Clark due to an on-site obligation he has and cannot travel. Everyone heard the motion? Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved, unanimous. So we'll move past that. So thank you, Dennis. We'll look forward to seeing you in person, the next meeting or in the future. So we're good there. The next is we need to approve the minutes of the meeting, and those were sent out via email. So does anyone have any questions about the minutes?
I do.
Okay, Karen, go right ahead.
Item number 3, review work group report template, just for clarification, is that this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Anything else for the minutes from the last meeting? And was July 31st, last meeting. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second, okay. So Ashley, seconded by Jana. Okay, everyone heard the motion to approve our minutes from July 31st meeting. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. And then one more housekeeping item is we need to approve our agenda. So everyone also received the agenda via email for today, or any additions or corrections to the agenda for our meeting today?
I move that the agenda be approved as written. We've already voted on the virtual, so we don't need to include that in the agenda. Okay. So move that the agenda be approved as written.
Thank you, Chief.
Second.
Second. Okay, so we heard the motion to approve our agenda as so written by Chief and seconded by Roger there. So any comments, questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so moved, unanimous there. Okay, so those two things are out of the way. Appreciate everyone's patience with some of the audio situations. But the first item on our agenda is to review the work group report template. And I believe the board has a document in front, and I'll let Jesse go ahead and.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have this template? Sarah, does Mr. Clark have this template as well?
No.
to Follow along with, if we could send them that quickly. Okay.
I'm gonna send that to you right now, Ms. Dennis.
That'd be great. So while you're getting that, Mr. Dennis, for everyone else, these are the work group templates that the board has taken from prior work group reports and kind of made a template form. We talked about this in July. Well, Mr. Phillips, I was not here. So Mr. Phillips talked with you all about this in July. And it just provides some template language for any future work group if they wish to include in their report in the future, just to give them an idea of what the board is looking for in terms of conclusions, that sort of thing, some suggested language. So in front of you, you should have, the first thing is the clean copy. So this is what the board would be approving. The second set of staples behind it is the red line copy where you can see all the edits talked about in the July meeting. And then the third is kind of like a sample. It's been redacted, black. And it's a sample of a work group report just with a little more substance in case any future work group wants an example to work off of. So I believe all of the edits that the board requested for the July meeting are included in the clean copy. And then I think we had one question remaining about the redacted copy. If everyone could give that just a once over to make sure everything is good. And then if you have any further edits, I'm happy to take them. If not, submit this for board consideration for approval for future work groups. If you have any questions, let me know.
The highlights, and were there any hardcore corrections that were made? Could you just kind of maybe go over
Sure,
those?
absolutely. So essentially where it starts numbering, I think it's on page 3. There was previously some language that's been taken out where the work group interpreted what the criteria meant. We've omitted that per the board's request. STEM list instead the evidence for each of the criteria. So that's been taken into interpretation. Last time we were missing criteria number 7, which is quite, so we added that in. That's a big edit. And then the very last big edit was the final paragraph. Two sentences were taken, no, one sentence, sorry, was taken out. Sorry, it's page 6. One sentence was taken out of that. It used to say, following the full majority guidance of the Secretary of the Commonwealth, the work group thus finds in favor of petition evidence for criteria, and then criteria numbers, and opposition or negative opinion of the evidence evaluated for criteria numbers. So that the board last time requested that be taken out. So that's been taken out. And in addition, a final concluding sentence was added in. I think it's at the very bottom of page 6. It should say, in conclusion, the work group recommends approval / denial of petitioner's petition. So that was just done to wrap it all up.
And
Thank you.
I was just gonna, because it's all coming back, because it was a while since we talked about this, but we took that out because the previous work group, the template that we used, didn't give a recommendation completely. They just gave how many they voted essentially and said, 3 of us said yes, 4 of us said no. So they didn't really give us a recommendation. So we wanted to make sure it was clear we needed a recommendation from the work group. So that's why that was changed.
And is this consistent with the federal recognition guidelines?
I'm not sure.
It's loosely,
Yeah.
it's loosely based. But with the criteria, with the regulations, you have to meet all 7 under,
Federal recognition.
yeah.
Okay.
This does not necessarily follow.
Yeah, it's kind of a weighing
Yeah.
approach. Any other questions?
So I think maybe the best thing to do is, I know it was a while, I'll look to the board. Do you all would like some time to look at this and maybe we can vote on this in the next meeting, or does anyone want to make a motion to go ahead and approve? Are they good with the template?
I think for discussion purposes, the last meeting we discussed this, made recommendations. And it appears that the legal side of it's done a super job in making the corrections and additions, okay? So based on that, I would make a motion to approve it as written.
I want a second?
Second.
Second, okay.
I'm just shaking my head.
So everyone heard the motion here to approve our work group template, report template. It's based on the revisions from our last meeting and legal revisions that were completed. Any other comments or questions on the motion?
It just
Go ahead.
clarification, why do we not require all 7 like they do with federal recognition?
That was hotly debated And Brandon, I mean, you could probably talk more on it because you were chair.
Well, I don't necessarily think I was part of the creation of those, but I do remember discussions about it. It's not that they're not required, it's that they will not, what's the right word? Based on the evidence, you don't have to meet all 7 to still be recognized. So they don't, not one of those requirements not meeting doesn't mean you still can't be state recognized.
In Virginia.
For Virginia, yeah. It doesn't, but it's still, it has to have a reason, essentially. You know, like there could be other things that go into the historical record, could be other things that we discussed as part of our discussion, work group's discussion recommendations that felt that it was sufficient enough, maybe, or the reasoning was enough. It didn't hold us to say you have to meet all 7 or you don't. So we will have to talk, if we want to revisit that, I would have to go back, I think, to what we talked about a year ago or so to revisit the actual criteria and see about changing the criteria. Because it's written, I don't remember exactly how it's written. I don't know if it has it up.
There was, in the creation of the criteria, there was quite a bit of debate among the group regarding whether or not it should more strictly follow the federal process. And the folks who did not necessarily agree with following the stricter process, that they were the majority that won out, just in terms of that discussion and ultimate development of the.
Yeah, so what it says, I'll just read it really quick since we're talking about it. It says within here, all criteria will be considered and reviewed as guidance, but no single criteria standing alone will be the basis for granting or denying a recommendation from the board.
And I think a big part of it too is the way that the process is built, right? Beyond us, right? We don't make the decision, right?
Yeah.
It's the governor's office that the governor makes the ultimate decision. So I think that's also why the process in terms of the criteria was deemed to not be treated as strict as the federal process. So.
But if we want to rediscuss that, we can add it to another agenda.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
No, no.
I mean, I wasn't.
It's a good question.
Obviously.
Good question.
But, and I just wonder if it's a disadvantage to the Virginia tribe, and I'm not a Virginia tribe, so I've never had to deal with it, but it seems to be more to their advantage when they go to be federally recognized. If they choose to do so, it would be able to say, I met all these criteria in my state of Virginia and I'm state recognized. I'm not gonna.
No, that makes sense.
Comment on that. I hear that. But you have to understand that there are a lot of mitigating circumstances germane to Virginia tribes, okay, that can negate you out for federal recognition, i.e., I would just name 1 or 2. First is the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, wherein the first director came about and brought about erasure for Native tribes of Virginia, to the point that he sent letters to the clerks of the court in Virginia, 1930, 1941, saying that there were no Virginia Indians in Virginia, period. Okay.
Right.
So that's a hardcore mitigating circumstance. And then you have the other criteria that you have to prove that you had tribal autonomy in the 1900s. Okay. And because of the erasure that have taken place in Virginia, sometimes it's hard to prove, even with the Civil War, with a lot of genealogy records being burned and the Racial Integrity Act. So all of that has to be considered. Okay. And the federal recognition process, the way it stands now, do not do a hardcore dive into that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I guess you were more detailed, but that's what I was getting to at a high level. There are circumstances, situations that if shown that apply to the case, right, that may be considered as not much weight as other things are considered. So.
And just more historical context, I think what Chief Brown just kind of outlined was the basis for arguing why this state process should not be as strictly following the federal process.
Okay.
Good conversation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So we had a motion, right?
In a second.
I have a second. It was to approve the work group report template. Any other questions, comments? Okay, good. So can I get a vote, a motion, or all in favor, say aye?
Yes.
Aye. Okay. So that's so moved, unanimous. So we'll go ahead and accept this work group report template as our template we'll use for our work group, and we have a petition to review. Okay. Moving right along then. The next topic that we have on our agenda is to discuss the petition that was received. So we did receive a petition, and we did receive a letter of intent for the petitioner back in August of 2024. And this petition is for the Powhatan Confederacy. So I believe everyone who has signed the confidentiality agreements has seen the petition, or at least got note of looking at the petition. And I'll open this up to discussion. But before that, a couple of things. Our job here for this petition is to look at it, determine if it's ready for a work group consideration. I want to say that because our work groups, we put them together. A lot of work goes into those people, and they're all volunteers. So we want to make sure that the documents that we have are ready for that type of review. So not sure if anyone or everyone has had a chance to go through everything, but I'll open it up for any comments or discussion about the petition to our board members. Go ahead, Chief.
At the last meeting, we had discussed, it was like 2 or 3 groups and combined in one. And there was some discussion that centered around the location, like being in North Carolina. Okay, and I believe there was discussion centered around that it had to be the primary domicile in Virginia. Okay, not out of state. Okay. So, I mean, did we write a letter about that or what? I mean, that was one of the discussions that was centered around the domicile where this, it was saying that the main headquarters was in North Carolina, and they had.
On this petition, on the first page, it shows that the governing body address, it doesn't have a street number, but it says Cartersville Road, Powhatan, Virginia.
And I thought there was supposed to be a legal view looking at that. As far as the criteria is concerned, whether or not the Virginia Indian Advisory Board could deal with a group that's primary domicile of the state of Virginia.
Yeah, I know we talked about that. I was trying to pull up the criteria, the procedure. The criteria. Because we also revised the criteria, right? So we just need to.
Well, number 1 says live within Virginia's current boundaries. Template we just approved.
Yeah. So is there something in here too? I mean, I believe previously we did get multiple names or petitions, I think, from petitioner, and there was some confusion. Is there something in here that alludes to, just from, review, that doesn't look like this group is located in Virginia? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking.
So there were references to out of state. For example, I think the guy who signed this actually resides in New Jersey.
Okay.
I can't pull that up right now, but
All I know is in this petition, they have surnames that are relevant and germane. Their surnames affiliated with Virginia tribes. A lot of surnames are affiliated with the tribes in Virginia that are currently federal recognized. Okay. So I understand they're trying to say Powhatan Confederacy. That's gonna be a hard bite to chew because you have, currently we have, 7 federal recognized tribes in Virginia whose genealogies and surnames have already been documented. And then we get a petition and they got some of the same names on the petition for the Powhatan Confederation.
No, I think that's going to be something we have to determine.
But the work,
guess
look at that.
Do we, well, that's what I was getting ready to. I was like, do we feel like that's something that we have enough information to determine or something we need the work group to dig into? I think those are all valid questions. I don't want to put together a work group if we're not ready for a work group because we'd have to go through that process, which is not going to be quick either. To find the people and to put them together. So what,
New Jersey reference. Page number.
let's see, pages.
Descendants of ancestry list.
Number 2. Meaning a specific Indian tribal identity. Is that where you are? The different addresses.
Yeah, it's the second paragraph.
To that list, yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's some in Powhatan and some in New Jersey.
One thing I'm confused about.
Property owner is.
Referring to the Pamunkey tribe as being descendant or having some kind of linear involvement with the Pamunkey tribe. And I know with my tribe, we have offshoots, Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, like the Cthulhu Band, some of who are legitimate and some who aren't. So I'm just confused about the reference to, the scattered reference to their I can't think of the right word. Ties to the Pamunkey tribe. Is that
I think the very first, the descent piece, right? So do we have anything in our criteria procedures regarding splinter groups or split offs or if it even goes that path? I'm just trying to think about, we wouldn't recognize another group for the same.
Right, so for example, like, again, going back to the federal process, you have to demonstrate, like, you cannot have members of this group that are tied to other recognized tribes.
Right.
Like the majority, like there's a certain ratio, right, of citizenship or membership, whatever term you want to use, that cannot be connected to or traced from another federally recognized tribe. And of course, I'll be honest, I work in the federal process much more than our own state process, even though I'm on this board. So we might want to pull up the state criteria. I know we've got like the
Step 3 of the board's criteria, when the board is considering factors to render a decision on the petition's completeness, it can include but are not limited to, and the second one is overlapping membership between petitioning groups. So.
And again, the question here too, and I would have to do some deeper digging, but there is like obviously a lot of reference to Pamunkey, but that doesn't mean that the individuals mentioned, right, trace back to families that are a part of the recognized historic tribal group of Pamunkey, if that makes any sense. So.
But it was more than just, like, for example, you could be Cherokee and Blackfeet, but you can only claim
one, yes.
But this was referring to like.
And the Confederacy is not one tribe. Yeah.
Not just an individual.
Right.
So this might be helpful for us. Let me just to remind everyone of the preliminary review before we engage a work group. So that's up to us to look, over the petition is complete. The board will consider the thoroughness of the petition in accordance with step 2. Other factors the board may consider for petition incompletion include, and that's what Jesse just mentioned, about there's failure or inability to satisfy any of the board's criteria, overlapping membership between petitioning groups, or past petitions submitted by the same or similar group absent of any different documentation. Let's see.
So, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, in my opinion. I'll preface where my opinion is coming from, right? I am a citizen of the Monkey Indian tribe. I also have a PhD in historical anthropology and archaeology that is focused on the history of the Virginia Indian communities. There is just not enough evidence to support the criteria in this petition.
Percent.
And I don't think, I mean, I feel like it's not at the level that it needs to be regarding evidence and pointing to the criteria to warrant the creation of a working group. Because it would disservice the folks who are coming up to do the working group. But quite frankly, it would disservice the petitioner because that working group is going to come back and state that the evidence does not support the criteria.
Well, I agree what you're saying there, Ashley. And I also think if we just take a step back, I don't know if the petition, there's a list of conclusion and works cited, but they don't reference what they go to either. So this is not written in a way, and I think we get that feedback last time with the petition, that a lot of documents put together, but they're asking us to figure out where they belong within their, within where their evidence is. And I don't believe that that is appropriate use of our time either for a work group to determine these links. They're mostly URL links.
Right. And, you know, to piggyback on what you're stating, Brandon, you know, in some instances within the petition, a statement is being made about a certain aspect of the criteria, but there is no like source material, right? That supports that statement. And that's what I mean. That's why I'm qualifying. There's not clear sufficient evidence through source material to back up the claims regarding the criteria. So,
And some of the claims just are relevant, you know, as far as,
they don't relate to the,
right.
yeah, to the
Hey,
criteria.
we had ancestors in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. This,
And then the DNA,
know, that was-
that's not something that's applicable here, but yeah.
Any other thoughts, comments?
well, generally, can a tribe also be a monarchy?
Guess if they're,
Is that the elephant in the room?
I don't know, I'm thinking their sovereignty, I guess they could choose their government structure, right? I don't think you normally see
I can't
necessarily.
think of any tribe that's ever been.
Sure. I'm not sure. Good question.
I kind of agree with Ashley's statement, okay? I mean, looks like this group is not really being straightforward. They're using surnames that are affiliated with other tribes in Virginia. A clear example. On our application process, it says that in your paper trail, you're saying that you have the bloodline of the Chiricahua Indian tribe. You must not be affiliated with another tribe. We don't accept people in our tribe that say well, I'm Cherokee, I'm Nansemond, and I'm Blackfoot. Okay, we look for the paper trail that goes directly back to an ethnohistoric Chiricahua Indian surname that's identified on the 1808 special census done in Southampton County, Virginia, to include the 132 land sale deeds for all the chief men signed from 1735 to 1875. Okay, but they're using names of other tribes in you. And I'm gonna say this with you. Some years ago, I can't recall the lady's name to put the petition in. I did a presentation, and she had put together it's been about maybe 15 years now. She had put together a book. I had the book at the house, okay? And I looked at it with her. And they had people in my family in there. I said, what is this? Okay? I still have it in the house now. Okay, it's about maybe an inch thick that they put together, okay? So you can't go out and try to get recognized and claim names of other people that are in a state recognized or federal recognized tribe. You can't do that. Okay, and as Ashley said, but the federal recognition process, okay, even if they say, well, we split off from this particular entity, you can't be federal recognized via the BIA as a funder group. Okay, that's one of the criteria. You can't do that. But they are putting in a lot of names that are affiliated with other tribes in Virginia. That's why I have a concern with it. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'll just say, you know, when we are approached by a tribe that is state recognized, for example, and is wanting to petition for federal acknowledgement through the Office of Federal Acknowledgement, if we are looking at that preliminary evidence and it's pointing towards, right, a clear historical connection to a already established tribe, whether it's another state or federal,
All right.
where the majority, again, of that membership can tie back to this other group that's already established or recognized. Usually the guidance is you should look to being enrolled in the group that is already established, because you're not gonna get through the process because of
True.
what you stated. So
I mean, there are instances where possibly if you can show a historical continuance,
yes,
right, that they split and that's documented and understand, and that's
as Janet mentioned.
right. So that's in my mind, the only way that the ties would matter, but then you have to then show your existence as that single,
Separate.
right, separate entity unit as a tribe historically, you know, from to now. That I think with that, I'm going to let the board, decide how we move forward with the petition. Ultimately, I think there's been some good conversation on it. I don't believe that it's clear in what's here about those things. I don't think it's clear about the actual evidence. I'm not sure what the guidance might say about the evidence, but I know the last petitioner actually provided the physical evidence to us, not have us go after into links and click to, which I think that's the preference. And I think that would be the best option for a petitioner to bring what they want us to look at and make sure that it also aligns to the section or the piece that they're trying to prove the evidence for. So I think that's what I'm hearing, at least from the rest of the group, is that that this may not be sufficient for a work group to review. Any other thoughts?
And, to our discussion earlier, I mean, when I first read it, I said, they're pulling all these facts from, everywhere. And most of them aren't relevant and don't support the criteria. And then when you said it was probably AI generated, that made sense. So,
yeah. Yep.
So what do we tell them?
I believe in, yep, sorry, I'm borrowing your notes. So if we determine the petition is incomplete, we'll notify the petitioner group of the termination and the basis for this termination. Petitioning group will have 60 days to supplement the petition. If sufficient supplemental documentation is not provided, the board may then vote to not recommend the petitioning group to be granted state recognition pursuant to step 6. So we can reply back and let them know. We probably need to talk about that here. So what are the things you feel are not sufficient or insufficient in the petition? And then have that sent out and give them the 60-day window to supplement. And then from there, decide what we want to do.
This is a supplement.
This is a supplement?
On
Okay.
August 4th, we sent out a letter stating that. pursuant to
You're right, we
Step 3,
did.
The board denied the petition is incomplete because it does not satisfy the recognition procedure or criteria.
That's right. We did get a petition that was different and we did discuss it, right? I think I was confused because there were a couple, as you said, Chief, there were a couple Powhatan Confederacy, Powhatan
Right.
Nation. There were different names
I think it was like 3.
They have
At the-
three names.
on that petition. Okay, now,
Okay, so how, let's back up.
yeah.
All right. So that is where I was confused because I did not understand that this was the supplement to the other
500-page
petition
document.
that had like 3 different affiliations tied to it. And, okay, now I'm on the same page.
Yes, it was at first a more lengthy document, some
I remember
500
that, yeah.
plus pages. And on August the 4th, I had the letter up. We sent it out via email stating that pursuant to step 3, it was deemed incomplete because it does not satisfy the procedure or criteria, and they were given 60 days.
And this was this received within the 60 days?
It was actually received after the 60 days.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're giving consideration even though it's outside the procedures. Okay, what's, could we talked about it, I guess, then? Can't take that back.
Yeah.
Um,
I just noticed it did say by October 29th, it was received on November 24th is what I have on my,
okay.
So they were a month late.
yes.
So at this point, I guess we did receive something. We've looked at it. The board may then vote to not recommend the petitioning group to be granted state recognition or provide another incomplete notice in 60 days supplementation. Those are,
Well, but the criteria is they had X amount of days to respond. And they were 30 days late on their response, okay? And of course, I don't know what the post date mark was, but I don't think the criteria says that the postmark date
It was
is irrelevant.
email. It was email.
It was email, okay. well,
electronically.
They late, okay?
She's supposed to cut them off.
I mean,
Let's make it easy.
business is business, right? Of course.
Correct. And that was my oversight. It
Yeah.
was, the date on the letter was given on the 29th and I received it on the 24th of November.
Yeah. So,
So any more discussion we need to have on this? We have 2, I think, options on that we'll need to decide to move forward. So I ask any more discussions about the actual petition or the process so far?
well, we basically got 2 concerns here because first of all, their response to the letter was late and then there's criteria concerns also
Mhm.
with surnames they're using, okay, that are relevant to other tribes in Virginia. Okay, so you had 2 concerns there. Late, which means that they didn't meet the gate. So that means that you can deny the petition based on our other criteria for the board. And the second is that the surnames they're using is relevant to other tribes in Virginia, and
So I guess, anything else? I'm sorry, before, anybody else have any other thoughts?
I'll just make a general comment. I mean, to me, this is not a supplement. A supplement would be the original document with the material included within that document. Which also I think is why this was a little bit confusing, but I'm just making that as a general statement.
No, I agree. This is kind of like, well, let's take another stab at it, and throw some, see what, throw spaghetti against the wall and see what hits. And it's just,
So with that information, we have two different avenues we could go. And I'll read it again here. So either way, I think even regardless of the time period, I think we still need to decide on which route to go. So we can vote to not recommend the petitioning group to be granted recognition, or we can provide them another incomplete notice and give them 60 more days to supplement the petition. So those are the 2, I think, options, unless anyone feels differently, that we should decide on.
if we provide them with an incomplete notice, do we have to tell them what we feel is incomplete?
If It says it will notify the petitioning group of this determination and the basis for the determination. So if the basis of this determination, I would think we would need to give them something. I don't know what that is, but some feedback or some reasoning.
Well, you got one hardcore fact, their response was late,
Sure.
okay, which really negates out the process. Yeah, according to our criteria.
So then you can make a motion to deny their recognition, or we can make a motion
The board
to
has that option to
give
do
them
that
60 more
because of that.
days.
Yeah,
I mean, I hear you. Those are two options on the table, and we just gotta decide, which route we're going with this petition.
Well, could we say, I mean, to Ashley's point, could we say, could you provide us documentation, go back to your original, what you provided us, and provide more documentation to each of your criteria?
well, we have to be careful that we don't open up Pandora's box. Okay, because first of all, if we go back and ask them to give us additional criteria and another supplement, we're violating our criteria because they didn't meet the gate. They didn't meet the gate, and if they don't meet the gate according to our criteria, we deny the petition. Okay, and they were told that, they understand that. Okay, so if you open up Pandora's box by doing that, I mean, it's gonna be drawn out for a year. Okay, because they're going to come back with additional stuff, and it still may be showing ties with other tribes in Virginia, or tribes in North Carolina, or whatever, So I think the first thing we need to do is approach the entity that their response was more than 30 days late, which meant that the board had the option to deny the petition.
Process question. If we deny the petition, do they have the opportunity to petition again? And is there a waiting period before they can do that again?
I don't believe there's.
There's not. That's what I was going to mention, though. So even if we went through that
So is this-
process, they can resubmit. But however, we don't have to accept the same thing. They would have to supplement.
Exactly.
My second question is that was the November submission intentionally late as a new submission? Given how you've characterized the difference between the two, or was it characterized as a follow-up and a supplement?
So the resubmission language in the process says if the vote for recognition by the board is negative, the petitioning group may submit a new petition if new and substantially different documentation has been discovered. There is no deadline on such a resubmission. So is there substantially different documentation, I think would be the question then.
Well, and I think to her process question too, right? Like, okay, let's say that this was submitted as a new
Right.
petition. They would have to start from the beginning. They would have to resubmit
Okay.
a letter of it. It would start.
Start all, okay, so there would be other steps there.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And they would have the option to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but it would have to be new.
Right.
Right. So all I'm saying, Brandon, that you don't want to open up Pandora's box because you're going to violate your own criteria, okay?
For sure.
If you don't let them know that their response was late, so we have to deny the petition based on our policy. And, if they wish to resubmit a new petition with new data, then they have the option to do that. Yeah.
Okay. So
I would just say a new petition. I wouldn't put it with new data.
one more procedural question. I'm sorry. No, you want to respond to that? I'm sorry.
Which means they have to submit a new packet with additional data or new data, okay? Because this was late. They didn't respond in time. So that means we have the option of denying that and based on our criteria, okay? But they still have the option later on to resubmit a new packet with additional data. Okay? They could resubmit a petition to the board. Yeah.
Letter of intent.
Yeah,
Petition.
exactly. Yeah.
That's what I was
Same,
gonna ask, do we need?
have to go through the formal process as they did before.
Because if we were to vote to deny, they'd have to start over.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that will be my next question, though. Normally because when we have a negative finding, I'm not sure what we'll decide to do here, but if we went down that path, there's some other procedures that we normally have to notify, the secretary of the governor, the Congress. There's certain, I don't remember exactly all, but would we have to do that in this situation as well?
I don't believe so, because the board is preliminarily doing it. It hasn't gone to work group yet. So I don't think those people would have to be notified. It would just be the notification of the petitioner, the basis, and then, they can resubmit everything and start back over with substantively different documentation.
More than likely, they're probably going to challenge this with this. Yeah, so that's a good point about the notification.
Just wanted to know if we had to go through that whole, or if that's just for after the work group process. Okay.
If you look at
Step one.
well, I was looking at step 3, it says the petitioning group would have 60 days to submit supplemental information. If supplemental documentation is not provided, it doesn't specify if it's not timely information or if it's not sufficient supplemental information. But if it's not provided, the board may then vote to not recommend the petitioning group be granted state recognition or provide an incomplete notice and 60-day supplemental opportunity. So are we required then to, if that 60 days has lapsed and sufficient supplemental documentation has not been provided, are we under some obligation to make a decision based upon the lack of additional information? It's sort of squishy language in the step, in the procedures.
But the statement precedes 60 days. Okay.
Mhm,
So that the caveat is the 60 days.
mhm.
Okay. So of which they didn't meet that criteria. So I would just recommend, not entertaining a motion or anything, but personally, I would recommend that a letter be sent to them telling them their petition was denied based upon a lack of response in accordance with the criteria, the 60-day criteria, okay? And if we wish to put in there that they have the option to restart the process again, they have that option. But you don't want to open up Pandora's box and start doing things outside of what we've already approved your criteria, okay? Because they can start challenging stuff like that. Well, you didn't tell me that we had missed the 60 days and that the petition would be denied, blah, 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 so.
Brendan, back to your question, if we're starting all the way over, the last part of step 1 does say that upon receipt of letter of intent, board administrator will send acknowledgement to the group, notify in writing the group's state senator and delegate, and post notice on the board's website. So I would be notifying senator and delegate again.
Right.
Well, I certainly don't know if they were notified to begin with, since it was so long.
Thank you.
Well, I think that was a question of we're not sure what district.
And that's kind of what I was getting at as well. Because this petition was first entertained prior to the ombudsman position being thing. So I'm not too sure how that was handled to begin with, but yes, provided a Virginia home-based address to your point, I can definitely notify the senators and delegates.
And
Can you read Dennis's comments into
Oh, yes.
record?
I can go ahead and read Dennis. There you go. Thank you for pointing that out. I think so this is Dennis's comment. I think it's cleanest to deny the response based on lateness, but the petitioner may simply resubmit the exact same documentation, which won't help them or the board. I think the good thing about resubmission is I do believe we updated the criteria to include that has to be substantially different or additional. It can't just be the same documentation. We're not going to accept the same. If they would have said the same exact thing back, we're not going to accept that as a new petition.
But we're not considering the new submission in this review. We're denying that review. So resubmission of this supplemental submission could be considered substantially different. I wasn't part of the original review in August to know how substantially different this is from the August submission. But technically speaking, we haven't reviewed this new submission. If we take this path, just by saying it's late, we didn't review it.
Sure.
We didn't provide the information in the timeframe required.
And not to throw a wrench in things further, but if the board does decide to deny this based on lateness. I don't think that would create a notification requirement to the delegate and senator and all those folks in number 6. But if the board, considers it and denies it based off of insufficient supplemental documentation, that would trigger the notification of those people. So a little wonky.
Well, if we just say that it's late, we'll probably get the same submission again. So what's that?
It's up to you all. Like, what do you want to do? No, but it's up to us. But that's where I think that we have the two options essentially, regardless of the lateness or not. It's, do we want to vote to reject the recognition, or do we want to give them additional supplemental time? Or do we want to, those are the kind of the two things that we have. And reject could be lateness, reject. But at the end of the day, I think it all kind of hits the same place. So thinking what you're saying is that if we go and reject for lateness, essentially they could submit the same document back to us for us to have the conversation again to understand this isn't complete.
Yeah, and then you had the option to do a deep dive, especially in reference to the Geno, as far as names and stuff. And if need be, you could turn it over to the work group. But from my perspective, because it was late and because what they have submitted has surnames that are relevant to other tribes in Virginia, okay? And I would let them, I would recommend that you deny the petition because it did not meet the criteria time. And they have the option to resubmit, okay, starting from new to resubmit. And
I'm not sure that we can have them require them to start from new for late. I don't know. Maybe we do.
so they have the option. They have the option to resubmit.
Yeah, they can.
Because we denied this because of lateness, okay? And they still have the option to resubmit, right?
Yeah, but they'll just resubmit this document.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would,
Because-
that much information, that's what I would do. If I got that message, oops, you were late, resubmit in a timely manner, and I would just send this back in.
Yeah.
Not knowing that we had significant issues with it.
Right. Well, the concern I have with this, not only because it's late, which it was, okay, is that they are drawing inference with surnames that are relevant to other Virginia tribes.
Among others. I
Okay,
mean,
and also the Nansemond tribe, not Nansemond, the Maharian tribe in North Carolina. Okay, to include my tribe, okay?
And you're right, that's just one of several problems that we have
Right.
with their submission.
Can we deny it on timeliness, but provide guidance on resubmission? Not that it constitutes review of the document. Because we haven't reviewed the document because it was late, but can we provide sort of extra guidance in this case? Or is that just overstepping the process?
There's not really guidance in the current, procedure, but I do think if we could certainly include that in a letter if the board sees appropriate.
Would we be in our legal realm to deny this because it was late according to the criteria? Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we could deny it if
That
it
should
was.
settle it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I don't think anyone's against you saying that. I think I'm just trying to be neutral and say, I need someone to make a motion on what you guys want to do, make sure we have enough discussion about it. So if lateness is where we're heading, understanding what else might come down and we're good with that, then that's what I think the motion should be. If we're not, too sure about the next step with it, then maybe we should think about other things. But Ashley, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
The motion on the board.
Oh, okay, okay, we'll go through the motion and then I can say what I can say.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I do have a motion that we reject the submission based on the lateness of the application from Dennis. Is he-
I know, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, it should be.
Hey, do I have a second?
You got discussion now.
Well, you got to second it and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to be the first.
Make sure before you call, raise your hand or hide that we hear this discussion.
Okay, so we have a second for Chief Brown.
Yeah.
So now everyone heard the motion that we reject the submission based on the lateness of the application. Any questions or comments, discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, and mine might throw a wrench in the current motion.
Okay, go ahead.
So just to be fully clear, right? We have the two options, the lateness, which is what we are going to vote on. The other option, just so we're all understand, is that we could also deny based off of the incompleteness of the petition itself, because they turned in the petition, right? Had the opportunities to submit the supplemental. And I mean, I can tell you right now, this is insufficient, right? So it's not providing it's not addressing the issue to begin with of the first petition being insufficient and incomplete. So we could also deny it on those grounds. Correct.
That could be put in another letter, right?
It could. That would be.
And if we went that route, we would need to make clear points on where the insufficiency lies. So just making sure we all understand, right? And if I'm wrong, tell me. But, okay.
Procedurally.
Yeah, so we have okay, I'm gonna be quiet. Anyone else have any discussion or comments about?
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I like that approach.
This is there was the two approaches, like the one that we,
The one
Motion on the floor is to lateness, not for lateness. Ashley, your motion, well, your suggestion would be
well, I'm just clarifying what the other option is
Yeah.
for tonight.
denying that we do not recognize based on
The,
those pieces that you outlined. It's not sufficient petition.
Does that include review of the additional information, even though it was submitted late? Yes.
Technically, yes, the
Yes.
board would like have granted an exception, reviewed it, and then denied it because it was insufficient. That's how that would work.
which is, I think, gets back to his Pandora's box situation.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're opening that,
Don't want
that door to,
Or to allow.
Please note, in the future, you need to comply with the 60-day.
Yes, that's something we could certainly include in a letter. I've had other boards that do that, like this once, we understand you're new to this. We'll accept it this once, we'll review it, but in the future, you have to abide by the deadlines.
It will be automatically.
Or, they're on notice.
So we do have a motion on the table, right? So I'll say it again, the motion. Okay, wait. Okay, that's the same one.
Same thing.
I was gonna say, wait a second. Okay, so the motion is to reject the submission based on the lateness of the application made by Dennis, seconded by Chief. So that's the option of the motion and we need to vote on. So I'm going to go ahead and have the vote.
Got the,
You're gonna have to either say yes or no that you want to move the motion.
yeah, understand, but that's discussion, okay.
Oh, you're still discussing, okay, go ahead, sorry.
In reference to what Ashley said, right? So that means that we have to entertain a new motion.
Right, we have to
This
reject,
dies.
if that is the case,
To include her criteria,
we would have to do a new motion for what Ashley outlined, if
yeah.
that is
exactly.
for
I
discussion,
got
we want to move forward. So if you want to move forward with the motion, go ahead, Ashley.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to confuse us even more? No.
I just want to make sure we're all clear. Okay, so the motion that we are considering at the moment is rejecting submission. Okay?
Mm.
Rejecting submission. So,
Based on lateness.
Yeah.
but submission, you're rejecting the submission based off of lateness. That is what we're voting on. We're not voting on a recommendation for recognition right now. I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
But your suggestion was to vote based on recognition, decision recognition, based on the current.
I was saying, that's not necessarily my suggestion, that is my making a statement so that we all understand that that is an option.
The option, okay. Excuse me. Okay. Are we ready?
But I thought you were referring to actually the incompleteness, right?
Right, so we would have the ability to make a recommendation to deny recognition due to the incompleteness.
And the lateness. Can you do both?
We would be essentially accepting the
Accept the late
supplemental.
submission,
Yes.
then
to-
deny the
And
right.
we could include in a footnote, in the
Right.
future,
Okay,
you have
okay,
60 days, period.
So the motion on the table is to move forward to reject the submission based on the lateness. And we need to vote if we want to move that forward.
So,
Go ahead.
I mean,
You're good.
if this motion dies, then we're going to incorporate what Ashley was saying. and
Somebody can make a new
represent the
motion.
footnote. Yeah, okay,
Make a
good.
new motion.
She's gonna have to make it.
Lord help me. Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Might suggest that if we allow a late submission now, we will have a very hard time ever rejecting a late submission in the
That is
future.
the truth. I agree. Yeah, I'll say I agree with that.
Okay, so
Right.
Dennis had said, suggested if we allow a late submission now, we have a very hard time ever rejecting a late submission in the
Thank you.
future.
Have you had late submissions before?
No, not that we know of, right?
If we're being honest here, no. I just want to say though, that I think that we may have been late in some of our responses back. Not say late, but some things have taken longer because of our meetings and things like that. So I want to consider that too in the process. A little grace in there.
To Brandon's point, yes, it was late. We were also scheduled to meet in November as well. So was there some misunderstanding that the November meeting that was canceled, it would still be reviewed there? I'm just throwing that out there. We did, to Brandon's point, only have 3 meetings last year. Some were canceled due to snow. There were a lot of things that happened.
Is there criteria in the legal jargon that says the timeline that the board has to respond? Okay.
In
Man.
certain pieces, yes.
Is there, I don't think is there a time, like, can we get a petition? Is there a timeline the board has to respond by?
I think we did correct that, not correct, but we revised that language. Because we only have the capacity to look at one at a time. So I think that we would notify them when it's their time. I don't know if we put a time frame on. There may be some timeframes for us about when they submit a letter of intent to acknowledge, such as some acknowledgement timeframes in the procedures that they submit their letter of intent and their document petition. I'm not sure in the
It
situation.
does look like that one was removed, actually. I'm thinking about the old one. I have the new current procedures up. And the only timeline I'm seeing so far, the group will have 60 days for supplemental information. That's
Yeah.
3.
They're,
The work group has a timeline.
they do.
Yeah, the work group.
But there was formerly a timeline for the group receiving. Yes, we received your letter of intent. Yes, we received your petition, et cetera, but that was removed, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like there's not a timeline for the acknowledgement anymore, just as the next board meeting.
Now, just another note, we can vote on this, right, on rejecting the submission to lateness. And there are other steps and discussions that we can have after this is voted on.
There's still the application.
Correct.
Yeah, it just looks like.
Which got taken, was amended, taken out.
And even the work group, the only timeline I'm seeing is after 90 days from the start of evaluation, the group may request a meeting.
Okay, so strike what I said then about the timeliness, because we did have some time frames, but I think they were revised with that. So, but something to consider though, especially as you work through the process. So,
So it's special circumstance.
And I think we gave the special circumstance and for the petitioner supplement because we do have the option, as mentioned, to give them 60 more days if we choose to, or we can vote to deny the recognition. So I think we're covered from that perspective. So back on track, I guess. And
Motion on the floor.
there's a motion and then there's still some discussions. So, Chief, you go right ahead. We're still in discussion. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so were you alluding to giving them an additional 60 days?
No,
No, I'm saying the criteria, the procedures allow the board, if it was timely, that we could
Give them,
then reject it for not recognition, for no recognition based
give
on what
them
we
an
have.
additional 60
Or we
days
can give them 60 more days to supplement.
after you reject it.
No,
no,
no. You can either reject it or give them 60 days of supplement.
which is
So
what we
they
did.
have 120 total supplement.
Yeah, but that's going to be in violation of the criteria, the 60-day criteria. You're going to open up Pandora's
No,
box.
the criteria says they have 60 days from the review and when we get it back, so let's just say not this scenario, but we got it back timely from a petitioner. When we review their supplement, if it's not sufficient to us, we can either give them 60 more days or we can decide we're going to vote on this and not recommend
Right.
recognition. That's the normal process. I think in this one, we have a little bit of situation because they didn't meet the first 60-day time frame to get the supplemental information back to us. That's kind of where our discussion is.
So we denied this based on the lateness. We can have what's the word I'm looking for? Subtotal at the bottom of the letter.
Oh, the footnote?
The footnote.
Yeah.
Letting them know that they can, they have an additional 60 days to resubmit.
If we reject it for lateness, no. No. So the lateness would be rejected based on lateness. We're not going to accept what you submitted because you didn't meet the time frame established in the procedures.
And then we can make a decision based off of what we did receive, which was the original petition, and go from there.
Yes, I think that's what Ashley was.
Oh, then we evaluate on that.
Yes.
Okay, so step one.
As a board,
So let me just say this as well. This might help. So the last meeting was July. This letter was sent out after that meeting with the 60-day deadline. The deadline was October 29th. Yes, we had a meeting in November that got canceled due to weather or something or another.
Yes, they did submit after the date. This is still the first meeting possible to discuss and say, well, it was late. Because the discussion that was had at the table was still the same, all the same points that were brought up when the first letter went out that it was incomplete.
Yeah. So we responded originally in a timely manner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But even though we had missed a couple of meetings, we did not receive their response until, which was due in October, to 30 days late.
I think what Kara is saying though is that even if we did receive it timely, we haven't met to review it within the time period. I guess is just a thought, I think, to consider.
It was still late.
It was late.
It was late, but this is still the first time the board has gathered to look at it, period. And if the board says it was late, or if it was incomplete and insufficient, those are still the two options.
Well, let's vote on
And if we
the
vote,
motion on the table.
yes, clarifying point though, so we vote on the lateness of the supplement. If we reject that, then we still have to evaluate the underlying petition. Got it.
Yeah. I don't want to tell you guys how to vote. Be quiet.
I still have that petition again.
But if you do not accept this because it was late, that means this becomes null and void. Okay? So that means they have to resubmit. Okay, because you're going to deny this because of late. Okay, this is null and void. This is no longer before this board. Okay? Because we're actioning it out. Okay, so that means that they need to resubmit. They need to be resubmitted.
I thought we needed to vote on the underlying petition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. The only way that a submission, like, don't think of it as a resubmission,
Right.
right? So we are voting on, okay, rejecting this because it's late. Then we're gonna vote on the situation with the underlying original petition, right? And let's say that the recommendation is no, then they can go through the process again,
Right.
right? There's no resubmission under the current
Yes.
process for them that we are in now. Am I making sense?
You're,
Or we ignore the lateness and we evaluate the two documents together and make a recommendation based on that.
That is an option.
and if I can say, I'm trying not to, but if we go with the other option, it allows for the same submission not be submitted again. It allows for a substantially different supplemental submission.
Right.
If we deny based on lateness, we can receive the same document tomorrow.
Yeah.
To review again.
We just want to make sure we don't set a precedence, okay? Because other groups can come in and be 120 days late and in violation of the criteria, and they would come back and throw that monkey wrench at us and say, well, you accepted this so-and-so tribe because they were late, but so why are you telling us because we're 120 days late on our response to the petition that, because you open up Pandora's box when you do that. If you reach outside of the legal criteria that we have established, you're going to open up Pandora's box, okay? That's what's going to happen.
I think you just muddied it a little more there.
Yeah.
That's okay. Are we ready to decide on this motion? We need more discussion.
Did Dennis post something?
It's
He
the,
just mentioned about we'd have to, we allow a late submission now. We'd have to.
have a hard time ever rejecting a late submission.
Thank you.
Oh.
I got you. I'm right here.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
On point.
So it's included in the
I'm going to
discussion.
say it one more time. So the motion on the table is that from Dennis, is that we reject the submission based on the lateness of the application. Seconded by Chief Brown. Any last minute comments, discussion? Okay. Okay. So I'm then going to say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You got, might want to show of hands. See if we got a majority.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Okay. Could we get, majority rules, you have to, does it have to be majority rules, right?
Well, yeah, majority.
Yeah, so we
I'm
need
not
to-
going to say so
we need
because
to-
it wasn't majority.
Okay.
So we,
Could you get a show of hands so we can?
so we have, so ayes if you want to. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Three.
and Dennis.
So you got a majority.
Okay, yeah, 5. Okay,
Got a majority.
and 1, no.
So that,
Everyone not in favor, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, we got 1. There we go.
now we can go back and discuss, but you,
Okay. It's up to you all if you make another motion or if you want to discuss what is the next step with so we moved to reject for lateness. Okay, so everyone heard that motion. So majority, what was it, 5? 5 for, 1 against. That we reject the petition due to reject the submission based on the lateness of the application.
Period. Okay.
I know we didn't vote on, it, but can a footnote be put in there? No,
Oh, what are you suggesting? I guess we could,
footnote in reference to them having the option to resubmit.
I think that's probably something that would be in the letter back to them, letting know the board's,
Yeah.
vote. Because that would follow with the procedures, not anything outside the procedures.
Still need to take action on the original application at this point, right? Is that what you were suggesting?
I mean, that's really kind of our next
Only option.
step. Right.
So now now we're not going to allow the supplemental submission. So we have a petition that was originally submitted. So does someone want to make a motion to, I forget there's the language.
Not recommend. Approve the grant.
To them.
That determine if it's.
I think it's on the step 6.
Okay.
Sorry.
Criteria and procedure.
So to make a motion to agree or disagree with the board to vote to recommend to reject or to table the petition with prejudice. Those are the three options the board has to vote. So the board may now vote to recommend, to reject, or to table the petition without prejudice.
Can somebody explain to me the difference between those two actions?
Yeah, so,
Oh, I'm sorry, before you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and there is another, so, or to advise the Secretary of the Commonwealth that the board chooses not to make any recommendation.
yeah, so essentially, not sure what the effect of tabling the petition without prejudice would be. I guess it would just stay on the board's docket indefinitely, is what that sounds like. And then the board, the advising the Secretary of the Commonwealth of not making any recommendation is essentially saying that VIB is not going to make any stance with regards to this petition, or we could accept or reject. So kind of table it indefinitely, accept, reject, or tell the Secretary of the Commonwealth we're not taking any stance. So those are the options.
Well, then what happened?
If the board chooses to recommend or not recommend, the petitioning group be granted state recognition. A copy of the work group's report will be, with personal information redacted, will be included with the official recommendation to the House and Senate clerk, the governor, and the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
So I don't know if that applies because we won't have a work group report,
Right.
but do you think we'll send petitioner a notification in writing by email about the board's decision within 10 work days? And then also the delegate and senator from their district will be sent a copy of that notification as well. And I think that is all because there will be no work group report because we've essentially be cutting it off at the head.
Okay, so the options here, once again, are the board may vote to recommend, to reject, to table the petition without prejudice, or to advise the Secretary of the Commonwealth that board chooses not to make any recommendation for or against the petition.
So if we table the petition, this group has another option to respond to that, right? I mean, if this is denied based upon the lateness. So if we entertain another motion to table this, okay, because when you denied this, it's dead, okay? And so if you entertain another motion to table this, that means this become active again. That's why I was recommending a footnote in the letter going back, giving them the option.
So Chief, if I could just clarify something, make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
It does kill essentially the supplemental one that we have in front of us. But
Right.
remember, I think we have original petition before this and we asked for this.
Yeah, with
So
the
so
three
we
groups.
still have a petition.
With the three groups.
Right, I believe it had 3 names on it. So we have a petition regardless if this part is not considered. We
Right.
have an original petition. So that's what we're actually voting on, the original petition,
Okay,
not the supplemental information. We gotten past that because we're not accepting it as supplemental because it was late.
okay.
So we have a petition originally submitted to us that I think we
So
saw.
you can table that. I got you.
Yeah, so then we have to decide with that petition that they submitted before, what are we need to consider? Are we going to consider, reject, recommend, table without prejudice, or advise the Secretary of the Commonwealth that the board chooses not to make any recommendation
And
for?
we have to make sure that we have caveats in that when we do it based upon the letter that was written originally with the three groups involved in this, that first petition. Okay,
And I'm not sure if we have to provide much more. Then it wasn't sufficiently documented petition to accept, and the supplemental was not received timely. And the board voted to whoever we're going to vote on the petition. We can talk about that language maybe after we decide how we're gonna go.
Just looking at the original petition again, it only has the one name, the Powhatan Confederacy. It has 3 different location and headquarters.
right.
That was the 3. But we had received multiple letters of intent with multiple names, but then we did get one with this name. So that's where some of that.
This is the one we had one attorney who represented like 5 different groups.
That's a whole different,
No.
it's
Okay.
okay, was
Yeah.
there was a leader, a common leader.
Right.
Across.
Okay, no.
But that's
This is
separate.
different.
No, okay.
So forgive me, Brandon, if you could read the language for the options one more time.
Just
Every time.
Sorry.
She moves it for me every time that I stop reading it. So the options are, the board may vote to recommend the petition, to reject the petition, or to table the petition without prejudice, or to advise the Secretary of the Commonwealth that board chooses not to make any recommendation for or against the petition.
So we have the option of tabling the original petition.
Without prejudice, table the petition without prejudice.
What is without prejudice?
It would, the board's not going to say that,
No comment?
right, essentially no comment. We're keeping it, we're not making a formal recommendation to the secretary. We're going to keep it within the board's purview, but we're not commenting on it at this time. We're not making any decisions that are negative, factually or positive. Yeah, I don't know what the effect of that would be, if it would just remain indefinitely. I don't think that's contemplated for in our procedures.
That's
Yeah.
not, I don't think that's fair to the petitioner. And well, I mean, let's face it, we rejected the first submission. We asked for this. We're rejecting that. So why don't we just reject the whole
Yeah.
thing? And tell them to start over.
So I'll make a motion. The Virginia Indian Advisory Board recommend to reject the petition.
Second.
Reject the petition of the Powhatan Confederacy.
Okay,
Because this is a supplement, right?
we've already.
Yeah, that's
We've
different.
already.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
So I can rephrase the motion. Okay, help me. All right, I make a motion that the Virginia Indian Advisory Board reject the original petition submitted by the Powhatan Confederacy.
For what reason?
We don't have to.
What reason?
Don't have to say, do you?
The original petition.
The original
I don't-
and the supplemental? Do we have to?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
That's all.
Okay.
Supplemental is dead.
Incomplete.
Right.
So, yes, and the board would vote whether it's incomplete, and thereby reject it.
Incomplete for the work group review.
That's the stage.
Which the letter stated, the petition is incomplete for work group review because it doesn't satisfy.
That was the original letter we sent out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you copy down what I've said so far? Can you add, and I can like at the end, say due to the incomplete nature of the petition. And then I can reread the full motion if you can show me what I said.
So I have.
I agree. I agree.
Reject the original petition submitted by the Powhatan Confederacy due to the incomplete nature of the petition.
Okay,
Do we need to revise or?
I think that's,
Due to it, I'm sorry, I don't want to speak for your motion, but maybe due to it being incomplete for work group review.
and I'm happy to restate that for the record.
Whenever, if you remember it.
I'm gonna read off of Kara's screen. Okay. I'm going to make a motion that the board reject the original petition submitted by the Powhatan Confederacy due to it being incomplete for work group review.
Second.
Okay, so everyone heard the motion made by Ashley, that the board rejects the original petition received by the Powhatan Confederacy due to its incomplete for work group review. Seconded by Chief Brown. Anybody have any comments, questions, discussion on the motion?
I'll note that I was not present for previous discussions and prefer to abstain.
Okay.
And I was going to do likewise. I haven't seen the underlying petition.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Very briefly, so by way of this motion, once this petition is rejected, the board would also, I think, have to take another vote to not recommend that they be granted state recognition. pursuant to step 6.
Oh, I thought that we were doing that now.
It's just wordable. If,
I think, because I think we did this part with the
Mhm.
original petition and we're not accepting the supplement that we asked them for.
right,
So we're now voting on what they submitted us.
okay. Documentation is not provided.
So should we reword?
Sorry.
okay.
All right, let's see.
See, they could still resubmit it.
Yes.
Right,
And we're not denying them the ability to become state recognized.
No.
It's just the nature.
No. If you feel more comfortable with another vote, we can do another.
so the last sentence says, if sufficient supplemental documentation is not provided, the board may then vote to not recommend the petitioning group be granted state recognition pursuant to step 6, or provide another incomplete notice and 60-day opportunity.
But I think now we're on step 6,
Yeah,
which is the board that we're recommending actually not grant them state recognition, reject the petition, right? Is it reject? Isn't that what the words were?
step 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so it'd be this.
it'd be, yeah, the board may vote to
Okay.
reject.
Reject the petition.
I
Okay.
think there is a.
Okay, that's fine. You needed.
So we wouldn't be doing this step.
I think it makes
We'd be
sense.
doing just this step. I just wanted to make sure I'm on the right
Yeah,
page. Okay,
yes.
okay.
So that's what we're doing now. Is that sufficient to reject the petition? Do we need to give a reason like we gave for the insufficient? It was incomplete for the work group review. Is that appropriate
I
or?
think we should, because that first sentence says if it's incomplete, the basis should be included in the notification. So I think,
So we don't have to vote twice.
right, yeah.
Okay, so this
It
should
should
be
just be
sufficient
one.
to rejecting the petition and this is the reason why. And we have 3 abstains. At least we'll have them, I guess, when we.
Give us a quorum though.
As well as what else?
I think.
Check.
I think 3 is.
Majority, yeah. Let's see.
So I'll be safe in our wordings, what we're doing, hopefully.
Do I have to vote then?
Person.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a motion.
Keeps us out of jail.
I have 3, 1, 2,
That would leave.
They'd have 3 to vote
3 to
and
vote.
3 not.
Hmm.
Well, you would count, right?
I don't normally vote, but I was saying, do I?
I think you would have to in that
Some
case.
chair have to break the tie.
Well, maybe that will at the end. I guess we'll see and then
Yeah.
I'll have to,
I think you would have to
if
be
there's a tie.
the ultimate voter.
Okay,
And to produce a quorum, I think you would have to. do that.
okay.
Otherwise, we have,
So should I vote when I make the motion or should I wait? Understanding.
I think probably wait.
Wait, yeah,
and vote
see where
on
everything
whatever.
goes. Okay, yeah, I don't want to muddy the water. Okay, we're good. Okay, so motion, there's a motion on the table, Ashley, to that the board rejects the original petition submitted from the Powhatan Confederacy. Based on the incompleteness of not being ready for the work group, incomplete for the work group. And seconded by Chief Brown. So we had some discussion. Any other discussions before we move to vote? Okay, so everyone heard the motion. Can I get all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. All opposed, nay? Abstain?
Yes.
3. Okay. So we have 3, 4 or ayes and 3 abstaining. So that means that me as the chair gets to cast a vote for quorum purposes, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I am going to vote in favor, that we approve the motion to reject the original petition submitted by the Powhatan Confederacy as it being incomplete for work group review. Okay. Motion carried. Okay. That was a lot, you guys. Good work, though. Work group, a lot. Good discussion.
But it's keeping us out of jail.
Hopefully it doesn't go that far.
Yeah, we're gonna extreme.
Apologies, I do think there's one more little bit. So
Okay,
in this letter, we have to notify the determination incomplete for work group review and the basis for the determination.
Okay.
So I do believe we might need to discuss that a bit.
okay. So the basis for for this determination, I think we had said that it's incomplete, right? A petition meeting for review. What other reasons do we need to address the supplemental lateness? I think we need to let them know we didn't accept, board chose not to accept that based on it not being received timely. What other reasons for basis should we include? And Kara, are you gathering these? Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
am
you,
too.
okay, sorry.
We'll get together afterwards and exchange.
Were we specific in the previous correspondence regarding the incompleteness and request for supplemental?
It just said, incomplete because it does not satisfy the board's tribal recognition procedure or the board's tribal recognition criteria. And I think we left it broadly because it was 510 pages. It was a lot of information to review and pinpoint what was specific there.
So would it be appropriate for us to state that since the board did not accept the supplemental documentation because of its lateness and because of the previous notification of its not being sufficient to meet, to review based on the procedures and criteria, that we're rejecting the petition?
Okay.
Are there any other reasons that should be included?
Specific to the incompleteness or just more generally?
It's just determination of the basis for our determination that we rejected. So anything that we need to include in the original petition. Remember, that's just based on the original petition. Because we didn't review, we are not considering the supplemental based on the lateness of it. So
Again, I'll point to the issue of the lack of evidence, right, to back up the statements that were made in the petition. With the lack of source material, right, that was easily accessible was a major issue.
and I think it's appropriate to provide that feedback because if they do want to repetition, we want to make sure that they provide the information that we need so that we can actually review the petition.
And like, I'll just throw this out there again, and I'm not saying any decision needs to be made about it because we don't get paid and the working group doesn't get paid. But the federal process has a technical assistance component to it that is provided by the Office of Federal Acknowledgement that does, I don't know if they would call it guidance, but it's technical assistance, right? But they have paid staff, right, to be able to do that heavy load of work. So this state process doesn't have that because it's not funded. So I'm just saying that out loud.
Well, maybe we could put that on a future agenda and we can discuss
So
opportunities or where we might go with that. But I think it's a good point.
If there are elements in the original submission that are replicated in the supplemental submission that we have concerns with, I think it might be in the board's best interest to be specific about some concerns. Again, speaking to the original submission, but trying to stem the resubmission of this exact document without further revisions, because I think we all feel like there's some issues with this. But are there issues that were expressed about the supplement that could also be said about the original that we could note in it so that we could at least point to that, if they turn around and resubmit this supplemental document as a new application, that we could our point to and say, we've already provided you feedback on this issue. It needs to be changed.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, if this was approved, it would be referred to the work group, right?
No.
Right? Right?
Oh, if we approve, I thought you were.
Hypothetically speaking, if this
Sorry, I
was
thought you
approved,
meant-
then it would have to be, we could turn it over to the work group.
We
Okay.
would have to turn over the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly. So the same criteria in the original petition, why that was, why we're denying that, because the criteria was not justifiable to be turned over to the work group. It's the same thing's applicable here, okay?
I think that goes back though, putting in how Ashley said it, the evidence wasn't there.
Yeah.
The source,
Right.
like,
Right.
it wasn't clear about where their, I don't want to say story, but essentially what they were trying to portray as meeting the criteria and giving us their history and so forth wasn't clear, nor did it have the right evidence base behind it for us to be able to consider or even validate anything.
Exactly.
The criteria, the
Right.
criteria.
Saying that's about the surnames they got in here.
To Roger's
Yeah.
point, right, I made that comment about this, that's not being considered, but that is definitely an issue with the original petition.
Mhm.
Thank you, Matt.
Could we include a link to the Office of Federal Recognition's Technical Assistance Office or something, just subtly, or is that a little going beyond?
I think you have to submit a petition before they will do technical assistance. Is that,
Correct.
this is
yes.
something
So,
that's
yeah.
to their
But
criteria?
they did, I thought they said somewhere that they had submitted.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think they did. And they,
To OVA, that's right,
Yes.
yeah,
This
okay.
petition has also been submitted, yes.
So technically, well, but there's steps
Yeah.
in the federal process where it might not get to technical assistance, so.
I mean, any resources is great. Like Ashley said, we don't have, a staff to help with the research and things. The burden is on the petitioner. Burden of proof. Okay, you have a good list of the basis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody has anything else to add on the basis of the rejection of the petition? I think it was a good conversation. Okay, we're gonna move along then to our public comment period. So we have some individuals online. If anyone would like to speak during public comment, I'll give just a moment for that to occur.
Do we have a time limit on comments?
I will we'll try to keep to
It's typically
3-minute max for comments, just because we had a lot of great discussion today. Did this come off mute?
Yes.
So anyone has anything, if you just want to come off mute, or if you can raise your hand or something, we can get to you. Let me give it just a few more seconds to see if we have any comments. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat, and I haven't seen anyone move off of the mute to try to speak that wasn't already unmuted. So we're gonna move past the public comment period. Okay. Okay. So next, we're gonna go ahead and close out. So like I said, great discussion today. I think we had a lot of information we went through. Made a couple moves with some votes and to move things along the process. I'll just say that, as you all know, we received quite a bit of I guess correspondence from different potential petitioners. So I would just say that keep an eye out for if anything pops in the queue that we'll need to, make sure we get to pretty quickly, because there were quite a bit at one time. I think we had like 10 petitioners sitting in the queue, and we sent back for letters of intent and things. And I don't know if they've progressed much from there. But anyway, just know they're out there. So
Right, we say in the queue, you mean on the website?
No. They were, when I say in the queue, I don't mean in a queue. I meant they had submitted correspondence to the Secretary of the Commonwealth alluding to submitting petitions or requesting state recognition.
So be prepared for.
We have
So,
3 letters of intent currently sitting
yeah.
with no further, anything.
Yeah, so these can pop in anytime, essentially those 3. And they were like I said, I think that one time was up to 10 or more that had showed some type of interest in submitting a petition, so possibly becoming a petitioner. So with that, we need to decide when we're going to meet again. We probably should try to meet just a touch base within the next maybe 2 months, maybe month or 2. So do you want to, Kara, are you okay with sending out your poll? Maybe, is there anything anyone knows about in the next couple of months that would be a no, like a hard no for vacation or other engagements that would limit us from picking those dates, if anything top of mind? If not, we'll just poll.
I've very end of May and middle of June are no's. I'm getting married, so.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
that's gonna be
You say
blocked
you're
off.
getting married on?
Yeah, so that's gonna be blocked off. No offense,
These are
folks.
end of May.
Very end of May, and then the June, like second week of June.
Okay, I'll try to shoot for end of April, beginning.
I was gonna say it's probably best we try,
Congratulations.
we go probably before
Yeah.
that, because then the
Definitely.
football season starts up too.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
events start up, the summer, school comes out and, vacations and those kind of things. So, no, but congratulations there. So maybe we can try to an April date. And see if that works, and then we can go from there. So Carol sent a poll out. Is there anything else that I missed based on our topics for today, or anything that we need to add to a future agenda?
One point, if we meet in April, it's a very small point, our electronic meeting policy has to be renewed every year, so we just have to do that in April.
Okay, we'll add that to our agenda.
It hopefully should not need any revisions and could just be an easy agenda.
Okay, thank you.
When are our terms up officially, the date?
It is August the
Oh.
25th, I think. So I will be sending you all with that poll. I'll send all the current board members the boards and commissions application site, just so you can resubmit your application there since we are under new administration. And then that lies within our Secretary of the Commonwealth and Director of Board Appointments.
And just so I'm fully clear, we have no other petitions that have been brought.
Not right now, no. We still have 3 letters of intent that I have sitting. I know, and I'll state this for the public as well, the letters of intent that are on the website, I'm waiting on IT to just update it.
Okay.
So we have 3 that should be up there.
Okay.
And August 24th is when terms expire.
Those are probably good topics for our next meeting too, to talk about, just to touch on those things. Chief, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to give a personal kudo, not only to the board members, but especially to our legal advisors for keeping us on point, okay?
For sure. Yes, thank you.
Because we couldn't stay in that safe road without them. So I really thank all the legal advisors and their legal advice that you give the board. Thank you so very much.
Yep, appreciate you. Thank you.
Congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
And one thing we might want to think about at our next meeting, and nothing needs to be finalized, but I think we really should discuss in earnest who we would consider for working group. Just to kind of have that as, this is not the right term, a vendors list, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like just a list of folks that can sit. Because it is a small group of individuals, I think that would meet the criteria for who can sit on the working group. So just a thought about that, and not anything we have to do again with the finalization, just throwing some names out there, because I know that that's going to be tedious.
Yeah.
And it might help us if we get reappointed.
Sure.
Or the next group of folks.
Right, to pass along if we
Yeah.
don't. Sure, I agree. I remember we went through that process with the last petition, and that took us a while to determine, and then not just determine, they have to agree
Yeah.
with their time to to volunteer. to
Do
do
we
so.
have a list of people who previously served on groups?
I think we do.
You, and the way that we handled it, it was, well, it's laid out who sits on the working group, but it was a mixture of scholars, tribal representatives from Virginia.
And a genealogist.
And just, yeah.
But it also depends on who the group is and then what their specialties are.
Yeah.
Because some of the groups might have certain state ties to certain tribal affiliations that some have more background or.
For example, the last petitioner was referred to as the Wolf Creek Cherokee. And so we brought on an individual, for example, known recognized scholar in Cherokee history. So, that's what he, just piggybacking off of the process that Brandon's mentioning. So
It says at minimum, a genealogist and at least 2 scholars with recognized familiarity with Virginia Indian tribes. Work group must consist of at least 3 members, but no more than 5.
And I think last time we did 2 people from the recognized tribes that's on the work group as well.
exactly.
So.
All right.
Okay. No, it's good stuff. It's good that you say that because it helps us to prepare for the next discussion. And we don't miss anything. So appreciate all that. Everyone contributed today. I think that's it. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, seconded. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. Meeting adjourned. Have a great day. You too. Yeah.
I mean,
Got a lot of stuff
I was
done.
gonna ask who's on.
Okay. I didn't.
Something